Okay, so this is definition 3 of the trig functions, and it just has to do with the circular function. We've been dealing with the circular function, have we not? Yes? Yawn. Okay, when we have this in a circle and in a coordinate plane, this is x, this is y, and so when I draw an angle and I ask for the sine and the cosine, I use what things? I use x and y. So it'd be x over r and y over r. So this would be sine and cosine. We've already even talked about that, haven't we?
Yes.
Okay, so you have your radian circle, and so when I have 30 degrees, let's use the same circle, different color. If I have 30 degrees, I have this 30-degree triangle, yes?
Yeah.
Oops, we're going to do, pretty sure we're going to use pi over what? 6? It's pi over 6 because 30 goes into 180 how many times? 6. So this point opposite of 30 is 1. Adjacent is square root of 3. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so this point is xy. So that point is square root of 3, comma 1. But then if I want it sine, cosine, I put it over the hypotenuse, which is what? 2? So I have sine and cosine. I typically don't make the circle like that. I don't put the points on that. I don't like to. I just know everything goes over 2. So use figure 5. This is figure 5. Oh, we're not using that figure 5. When it says use the unit circle, I want you doing as much without your picture of the unit circle as possible. You got it? So what you're going to be using is 30, 60, 90. And what's opposite 30? 1. Square root of 3. 2. And 45, 45, 90. Bless you. And then your quadrantals. So what are your points?
1, 0, 0, 1. -1, 0, 0, -1.
And then you need to know which quadrant things are positive and negative in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I want you to be using. I want to know the 6 trig functions. Of 5 pi over 6. Okay, so we need to remember our reference angles. You guys got all these down so I can move this up?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I want you to be using. You can use your unit circle to check it, but I want you to be using these. This is about learning your exact values. I'm actually giving you a day to work on that. Okay? So I need to go to my reference angle. 5 pi over 6. What quadrant is 5 pi over 6? We'll put the circle over here.
It'd be quadrant 2.
It'd be quadrant 2 because this is pi, right? So we're 1 less, correct? Mm-hmm. So what's my reference angle for 5 pi over 6? Well, it is, but we're in radians, so no. 30 is right. What is 30 in radians? Pi over 6. It's about also getting those radians in our head, okay? So in your head, you can say it's 30 pi over 6, but I want you writing what? Pi over 6. Just like Spanish. if you're not writing it and saying it in Spanish, are you going to learn it in Spanish? No. Jane, do you need time? You're moving things from one to the other.
I'm good now.
Okay, sorry. So once I know this reference angle, I just need to know this is in what quadrant? Q, 2, and I need to know my reference angle, right?
Yes.
So the only thing positive in quadrant 2 is what?
Why?
Is y, so what function? Sine. And you want 6 trig functions, so there has to be another one. What's the reciprocal of sine? Nope. Cosecant. So cosecant and sine are the only 2 things positive, so what am I going to put right now on cosine, secant, and cotangent and tangent? I'm going to put my negatives. I'm going to put my negatives first so I don't forget them. When you get your test back when everyone's here, that might be hard to do. You'll see you missed a half a point every time you made it negative when it should be positive or positive when it should be negative.
The one tangent should be.
Oh, that should be cotangent. Thank you. Okay, so do I need to do all of these? Do I need to do it for 5 pi over 6 even? I only do it for what? Pi over 6, which is what? 30. Could I put pi over 6? What's 60? Pi over 3. What's 45? Pi over.
Is that 4?
Okay. Then I have 0 and pi, and this is what? Top. Pi over 2. 1/2 of pi, 2 halves of pi, 3 halves pi. So 3 pi over 2. So if I write those on there, will that help me too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the sine of 5 pi over 6? Well, it's the same as the sine of pi over 6, which is what?
12.
No, what's the sine of that, though? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, y over r. Because this is, no. Of 30, what is opposite of 30? 1. Okay, I need to stop. Why were you guys telling me square root of 3?
I don't know, my fingers just went
Okay.
there.
And like, why are we going? Because this is opposite, right?
Yeah.
This is adjacent? Okay. So then if I know this is 1/2, what could I do right away?
The other one
The cosecant?
should be 2.
Okay. So cosine of pi over 6 is negative the cosine, cosine of 5 pi over 6 is negative the cosine of pi over 6, which is what? Square root of 3 over 2. Well, yes, and we can't leave it that way. Okay, so on your test, you guys, people left it like this. It was, that portion, if you noticed in the grade book, was put in on a quiz itself. Okay, so your exact value that time was your first quiz. It wasn't part of the test. Some of you did really well on it. Some of you did not do well on it. Okay, pi over, tangent of pi over 6, 5 pi over 6 is negative the tangent of pi over 6 because that's the reference angle. This is why I like radians, is because you just cover up that number and the reference angle is right there. So it would be opposite over adjacent, so it'd be what over what? What? Opposite over adjacent.
Oh, sorry, I was doing another one. It would be 1,
So 1 over the square root of 3.
which would be 1 square root of 3.
You can just put, don't forget your negative. You don't have to put the 1. And then if you have it here, you just can reciprocate it, right? Or you can go adjacent over opposite. So it'd be what?
Square root of 3.
Square root of 3. That is the main thing you're doing today. That is it. You are doing everything you've done. Have we done all these things before?
Yes.
Yes, but we haven't done them in radians, have we? So now you're going to do them in radians. Let me make sure I cover everything. You have 1 through 26. Some are in radians, some are in degrees. I'm not doing the degree ones because we've done them. You're just practicing your exact values. Got it? When it says use the unit circle, are you supposed to pull out your circle and just copy?
No.
No. 43 through 45. Okay, if I tell you, yes. If I tell you a point, I'm going to read it. It says, if theta is in standard position, so that means it starts here, right? And the terminal side intersects the unit circle at -1 over the square root of 10. And they write it like this, and that is completely gross. How should I write this?
Square root
Like, should I write it sideways like that?
of no.
No, because that is kind of confusing, isn't it? So it intersects the unit circle at -1 over the square root of 10, comma, -3 over the square root of 10. So remember, if this is a point, this is sine and this is what? Cosine. Wait. Cosine sine, isn't it? I think I wrote that wrong up top. If I did, we need to fix it. Yep. Because y is sine, yes?
Yeah.
You guys didn't catch it. Okay. So they told me this. They told me a point intersects. So what quadrant is that in? It says -x and a -y. What quadrant's that in? 3? So it's somewhere down here, right?
Yeah.
So if it's intersecting at that point, I have a triangle, don't I? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it says they want cosecant, secant, and cotangent. So cosecant of theta, secant of theta, and tangent of theta. Well, I have sine and cosine, yes?
Yes.
So what is cosecant compared to those?
Square root of 10 over.
Well, it's 1 over sine, right? I'm just doing that, so I remember. So it'd be what?
Square root of 10 over -3.
Or I write -10, a negative square root of 10 over 3. Does it matter where the negative goes?
No.
No, because actually the square root of 10 is the hypotenuse, isn't it? Since it's in the denominator. Yeah. Okay. What about secant? 1 over what? Cosine. So it would be what?
Negative square root of 10.
Okay, negative square root of 10. So, did I say, I think this should be cotangent. I've done that several times. I know I read cotangent. Cotangent is what over what?
1 over tangent.
1 over tangent, or the only two functions we have are sine and cosine. What is it in terms of sine and cosine? It's cosine over sine. So what do I put over here? Cosine over sine, right? So what's cosine?
It would be 1 over 3.
Well, yes, it will, but I'm going to just do this. And we've talked many times when it's the denominators are the same and they reciprocate, they reduce out, right? So -1 over -3 would just be 1/3. So it's telling you that it lies on a unit circle, but all it's telling you is this is cosine and this is sine, right? That's it. Now, did my math, it was over here, does my math give me the positive and negatives I need? Are these two negative? Is cotangent positive in that quadrant? Yes. So if I do my math right, is it going to turn out right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and then I've got 50. Okay, and 98 through, now 98 through 104 even are review. They're review problems of what we've already done in other sections. It says review of section 2.3. So that means you need it for 3.4, guys. Okay? Questions? It's about doing exact values with radians today. That's all it is.